Hi everybody, welcome to a special Friday stream. I'm sorry that I'm 15 minutes late. So the way this works is that I owe you for very kindly paying for a membership 4 streams a week. Right now it's 1 viewer call-in show, 3 regular streams. So I'm very determined to give those to you. But on Wednesday, of course, it was the Snyder Cut day. So I couldn't do it then, and so I was going to do it yesterday. But then the Tenet trailer was like a moving target. And I was like, when the heck is this going to freaking drop? And I was up till 3 in the morning covering it last night. So that kind of messed up today a little bit. But you guys voted on a 3 o'clock start. And I actually started at 3:30. Now, the reason I'm late, I was like, because it was supposed to be 3:15. And I was like, oh, no problem. I got so much time. By the way, I just watched next week's Harley Quinn. You're going to be so happy. If you're a Harley Ivy fan, you're going to be thrilled. There's so much LGBT action for the two of them. And it's handled so well. I'm going to review the show and that situation specifically when the season wraps because it's going on, they're really drawing it out, which I love. I think it's wonderful. But, I can't really talk about it because I haven't seen how it's worked. But it's probably the most sophisticated. Oh, they do more than kiss, Natalia. They do more than kiss. It's excellent. I'm glad you guys like my Disney sweater. I got this from Disneyland. But yeah, it's really good, and I think it's really sophisticated. It's probably the most sophisticated, LGBT, lesbian romance that I think I've seen. To be fair, I don't watch a lot of that content, but I think it's really well done. Really, really well done. Samir just watched this week's episode. It's such a good show. Also, it's so funny. So basically, the setup for next week is it's a bachelorette party, and they have it on Themyscira. Oh my God, it's so brilliant. Oh, I loved it. It was really good. It's a very, very good show. All right, so the other thing I want to touch on really quickly before we get, so the way it's going to work is we'll get to 3 stories today, and then we'll do, of course, the Q&A section. So this is a safe space, members. So I tweeted out that I was very upset about some of these other people in the entertainment space who are constantly riding me. Even when I'm right, and here's the thing, I will never comment on another entertainment reporter for 2 reasons. 1, I don't think it's appropriate, I don't think it's professional. 2, I suspect a lot of them are just trying to pick fights with me to raise their own profile. So I'm not going to fall for it, I'm not doing that. But I will say that people should just stay in their damn lane. I was the first person to report the Snyder Cut in November to say that it was, actually going to, it was in talks, that it was something that could actually happen, and I've kept you updated the whole time along the way. And then with this Henry Cavill situation, I never said I had an exclusive on it, okay? And other people are like, oh, I see other people throwing shade at me. Acting like I did. I never said I had an exclusive on the Henry Cavill situation. In fact, some of you asked me about it, and I said I had at that point not heard anything. So what happened, though, is that I do feel I deserve credit for, is that everyone else, so a lot of these people work for other publications, they have bosses who really, their hands are tied for what they can share, which is understandable. If you want to work for someone else, that's the payoff. That's the trade-off, right? Because you're getting paid. So they can't, perhaps, say that a deal might happen next week, right? So they just put out this, tease, and they're like, ooh, Henry Cavill, and, gifs of, Henry Cavill, and they're like, what does this mean? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And they totally know that the deal's almost done. So the difference is that I will actually tell you that the deal might be done next week, that you can find out that soon. It might not be next week, but I feel confident enough that it might happen that I will tell you that, because my sources said it's going to be probably next week. So that's why I told you that. Again, it might not happen. There's nothing's 100% until it does happen, right? And then also the other thing that really bothers me is that I constantly have people lying about what I've said. They'll just say, someone responded to that tweet that I put out about 20 minutes ago. And they're like, oh, you said the Henry Cavill deal would never happen, Grace. And I'm like, I never said that. And I blocked them, so they can't see my response. But I said, I never said the Henry Cavill deal will never happen. I said he wants more money than Warner Brothers is willing to pay him. I also heard he wanted like director approval. And I thought, they were at a standstill. Like their negotiations weren't moving forward. And the last I heard about it until just now was that they still didn't want to pay him. But, and by the way, everybody's presenting a happy face on this Snyder Cut situation, as they should. I think it's wonderful that they are. But I can tell you from my sources that behind the scenes, not everybody loves each other. There's like some problems, like Warner Brothers, didn't love being, they, strong-armed into doing this, but, now they're doing it. Henry Cavill's still playing both sides. But whatever. It is what it is. I'm not going to suddenly tell you that Henry Cavill's a changed, wonderful person. Henry Cavill is what I've always told you he is, out for himself. And so it's in his best interest for the Snyder Cut to be popular, and it's in everybody's interest for him to back it. So that's what happened. And it's great. Everybody's a professional. I can tell you what's happening, but I think it's totally reasonable that they would all put on a happy face and say we love each other because that's how it benefits the project. So it's, that's just what's going on. So it's very annoying to me. The only time that I told you about the Birds of Prey thing, totally told you all that and was correct. The only thing that was a problem was the Spider-Man Oscorp tease, which was in the freaking movie, but they pulled it at the last minute. They took it out of the film. So people who don't want to believe me just don't want to believe me. But, it's an annoying situation. It is what it is. I really appreciate that so many of you know that I'm coming from a good place and that, my reporting, as I would say, honestly, I'd say my reporting is except for that one thing, is 99% accurate. Also, the other thing that really bothers me is that everyone tries to say I said that Wonder Woman was Flashpoint. And I was like, I never said Wonder Woman was Flashpoint. If you go and actually watch the video, I said that Wonder Woman was a Flashpoint-esque movie where they're starting to turn away from the DCEU, and they get rid of a lot of the things that were in that movie, that were set up in the past films. For instance, one of the things being that Wonder Woman is in hiding. Well, everybody knows who Wonder Woman is in this movie. They just totally ignore everything that was set up before that. So I also want to appreciate you guys not only supporting me, but a lot of you defend me. And that's the last thing we'll say on it before we get to the stories of the day. A lot of times I don't defend myself because A, again, I don't think it's professional, and B, some people, they just want to believe what they want to believe, so it would be a waste of time to get into it with them. And C, again, I feel like a lot of times people are just doing it to get publicity for themselves, and so I'm not going to participate in that. But some of you will go in there and defend me, and I see it, and I have to tell you, it really means a lot. You're doing stuff that I can't do, so thank you so much, and I want you to know that sometimes I don't like your defending tweet because I don't want to call attention to it, I don't want to get involved, but please know that I see it, and I know who you guys are. Stephen in particular is really great. I know who you are, I see who it is, I remember, and so just know that, okay? You guys are really great. I really appreciate it. All right, let's get to today's stories, because this really is not worth our time. Okay, I'm very confident, and I hope to indeed be reporting a Henry Cavill story to you next week. Or I think it'll definitely be very soon, but I'm hearing it will probably be next week. All right, so let's see. And I remember I said probably, and then some jerk will be like, you said it will definitely happen. And I'll be like, no, I didn't. All right, it's just what it is, Unfortunately, we live in a little bit of a fake news. The fact that we use KGB tactics to try and discredit people is really horrible and comes from the top down, unfortunately. You guys are so sweet. All right, yes, the Boob is coming. I'm glad you guys love the Boop. I love the Boop too. Hold on, let me boop. Boop, boop, boop. 1 second. All right, hold on. Let me just refresh this because it's bothering me. All right. There we go. All right, I thought more people had tuned in. I was like, why is the view count stuck? All right. Anyway, we got some interesting stories to discuss today. All right. I don't think I moved the marker to the right place. Let me do it quickly. Pretend you don't see anything. All right. Boop. All right, there we go. First story of the day. Universal Studios Orlando. More of the thrill theme park of the two of them is going to add a new thrill. Will you get coronavirus? Because they're going to open on June 5th. They're going to do a soft opening on June 1st, and then on June 5th, they're going to officially open. Of course, with reduced capacity and significant, protocols to try and protect you. You have to wear a mask. They're going to have, every other line. They got rid of mist stations, apparently, because they're like, oh, that, I guess the virus would get into the water and then you breathe it in. So they're going to do all that. They're going to have hand sanitations and hand washing stations everywhere. So we'll see. Now, Disney World, Lloyd just said, I still prefer Disney World. Disney World is coming soon. It was revealed late yesterday that Disney World is going to be giving their proposal to Orlando this coming week, or at least they said they're going to hand it in privately. I don't know when they're going to discuss it publicly just yet. In fact, it isn't scheduled. The mayor, for instance, doesn't even know for sure, but it's coming very soon. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. I don't think enough people care about Universal to really report on that as a full video. When they set an opening date for Disney World, I will certainly cover. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right now, Disney World reservations are canceled through mid-June, so they could be opening as early as June 15th or something. I'll be curious to see how this goes. Disney Springs reopened on Wednesday, which is Disney's shopping center, and it wasn't like the Disney stores that opened, but it was the third-party stores, because it's a mall. It's an outdoor mall. It's a lovely mall. It's not very Disney-themed, though, so I stopped going there. I did like the fact that the new head of parks, D'Amico, was there. He's actually the head of all. He took Bob Chapek's job. And he was on hand. Hey, Rodrigo, thanks for joining. I thought that was wonderful that he was there to take pictures with people from far away, and just to greet them. But the biggest thing that concerned me when I saw the pictures of Disney Springs was that so many people were not wearing their masks correctly. I don't understand what's so difficult about wearing a mask. It's really simple. It covers your face, so you don't breathe in coronavirus, right? And some people have it only over their nose, or they have it over their mouth. It just says, it's like it covers both. And so it's very concerning to me, like, even if you're wearing a mask when you walk into the facility, who's going to make sure you keep it on? I'd be very, very nervous about that. And also, coronavirus lives on surfaces for quite some time, like hours and sometimes days. So, like, if you're not wearing your mask properly and you run around and you touch everything, like, for instance, Sanjay Gupta on CNN had a video about air travel, and I was like, okay, let me see what he says. What does he recommend? And he's like, oh, after I go through security, I use my hand Purell, and I clean my hands, and then I'm good to go. And I'm like, but Sanjay, you touched your backpack when you took it out of the security machine, and then you didn't clean it. So even though you just cleaned your hands, there could be coronavirus on your backpack, which you have not cleaned. So this is just, I think if you're going outside, you're taking a risk. I don't know what I don't know what the likelihood is of you getting sick. Nobody knows, because literally nobody knows. But it's not zero. I just think people have to be aware of that. Madeline, I hope your trip was good. Madeline sent me a photo, and her plane was packed. They're packing these planes. I looked into it, Madeline, after you sent me that photo, and that's because they've cut down a number of flights. Like, for instance, New York to Los Angeles, this is what I looked into, because it's usually the flight I take. They usually have like 6 or 7 hours flights a day between New York and LA for one airline, and because I fly Delta. And so I checked Delta, and Delta has gotten it down to just one flight a day. So they just cram everybody onto that flight to save money if you want to fly direct. I think there are 2 other flights if you're willing to stop in Atlanta. But you're like, how many times am I going to go through this? It's, the more I'm in flight, the more I'm at risk. That's what Dr. Sanjay Gupta said. He said, shorter flights are better. But, I just think it's really risky. I was thinking, like, seeing all these pictures of Disney World and how beautiful it looks, I was like, I do miss it. I love being there. Wouldn't it be nice to be there? Like, I hadn't been there for a while, and I thought I was going to go back for the 50th anniversary in 2021, and I don't know if that's going to happen. Ivan says his dad is stuck in the Dominican Republic for 2 months with no flights. Oh my gosh, I hope he's staying with family and stuff. But it's just really crazy. I just, I think it's too much of a risk. Maybe if I was local, I maybe would consider going. Although I'm very discouraged by how many people aren't doing what they're supposed to. But to go on a plane and stay in a hotel and to, take public transportation, because when I go to Disney, I don't get it. My family doesn't get a car. So I just don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know. Maxime, someday I'll come visit you at the French Pavilion. The French Pavilion's one of the coolest new places that they're building. You know, they're redoing it. Platinum Diva says, I made it back alive. To a live stream. Oh, that's great. You're in Las Vegas. It's always nice to see you. I love having you in here. For those of you who are regulars, I do get to know you. All right, so that's the first story of the day. We'll see what Disney World decides. But as Portis 2 says, Disney World will always be there. Don't risk your lives. That's true. One person who died was in Florida. He went for like a business trip, and he was like, oh, I really want to stop at Disney World and Universal. And he went there, and he came home, I think to California, and he died. Like, so I don't go to Disney World for 2 years. You know, I can go for the rest of my life, you know, God willing. But it's just really, really scary. All right. Ashley says, my birthday is June 15th. Where'd that go? Ashley, where's your comment? Where did it go? This stupid thing jumped really fast. Ashley, where did it go? That's so weird. How I feel like I should be seeing it. Oh, you took your message back. No wonder I didn't see it. All right. Well, happy birthday in advance. All right. So that's the first story of the day. A little bit depressing, quite frankly. I didn't think it would be that depressing, but it ended up being depressing. All right. Josh, I didn't hear about a dad who murdered his a son who murdered his dad on a Zoom call. That's horrible. Oh. All right. Woo, let's get to another subject matter. All right, so boop. Oh, I was so depressed I almost forgot the boop. Computer man, apparently you can retract a message. I don't know how to do it, but Ashley did. All right, so the second story of the day is that ESPN needs content, obviously. And ESPN was fantastic The Last Dance was fantastic for ESPN. Everybody loved it. Everybody tweeted about it. It was fantastic. But now they're out of episodes. They're like, God damn it. I don't know why my computer is always... You know, my computer never makes the sound when I'm filming. For some reason when I go live, my laptop is like, I can't take it! And it gets all hissy. So anyway, all right, so I'm sorry about the sound interference. I have a microphone that I could maybe hook up to this, but I'm not sure where I would put it. And I'd have to hold it, I guess, and it would still be making a stupid noise. Hopefully I can go back to my other setup soon. All right, so anyway, New York might reopen on the 28th, maybe. I don't know. All right, so anyway. All right, so next up they're going to do another documentary, but this time they're going to focus on very controversial Tom Brady. Everybody was very happy watching The Last Dance, but I feel a lot of people are going to be really, like, anger watching Tom Brady. But who cares as long as they're watching, right? So it's called Man in the Arena, and it's from a totally different creative team. It's not the people who did Last Dance, but it's another sports documentary. Now, I wonder if they'll cover, like, the more interesting things. Like, for instance, the deflated footballs, right? They switched teams, right? Also, what he did to poor Bridget Moynihan. Like, he and Bridget Moynihan were trying to have a family together, and then Giselle was like, hey, you. And he was like, see you, Bridget Moynihan. And she was like, what happened? So it's, like, not cool. Giselle kind of stole someone's life partner, but whatever. Like, I wonder if that'll be in the documentary. I'd be like, and then Bridget Moynihan comes in for an interview, and they're like, maybe we shouldn't have agreed to this. But yeah, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, so Tom Brady, he's certainly a big name. He must be thinking for what's going to happen to his career going forward. LeBron James is like becoming a major Hollywood player. Luke, we'll talk about John Krasinski if you want to ask me that in the Q&A section, okay? But yeah, very, very interesting. So this sounds pretty good to me. I think people will tune into this, who tuned into The Last Dance. I'm not into sports. I only watch the Super Bowl, and I like to go to live sporting events. But I don't really like to watch sports recreationally on television. So, but obviously, tons of people do. And I think here's the thing. If I were an ESPN executive, I would sign this deal in a second. I'd be like, I don't know what you're getting. I mean, I don't know if I would sign this deal if I was Tom Brady or his agent, but I think ESPN is very happy with this, as they should be. All right, so that's the second story of the day. Third story of the day. All right. Boop. All right, I can't believe this. So Mission Impossible 7 has a new villain, S.A. Morales, a.k.a. Deathstroke on the Titans on DC Universe. Not Joe Manganiello. By the way, Joe Manganiello blocked me on Twitter. I found this out the other day. I thought that was hilarious. I still think he's a bad Deathstroke, and he's just not a big enough star. But that's not going to change, because it's like Ava DuVernay blocking me because I said, stop trying to take credit for Black Panther. You walked off that project. So that's not going to change the truth. All right, so anyway. Nicholas Hoult, I think it's funny that Nicholas Hoult was supposed to be the villain in Mission Impossible 7, but he can't do it anymore because shooting was delayed and he has a conflict. So he has another thing that he has to go and film. He has something that he committed to, so he can't be in Mission Impossible anymore. This other thing supersedes that, apparently. I don't know why. I don't know why Mission Impossible is always last when it comes to contracts. You know, it's like, although actually no, with the mustache they won versus Justice League, so good for them. So anyway, now they're on the short end of the stick, and now so S.A. Morales is going to take it on, and I'm like, that's not the same. S.A. Morales is not the same as Nicholas Hoult. That's a crazy change-up. Now, S.A. Morales is on the short side, although Tom Cruise is going to love that because he's on the short side too. So he's like, excellent, we're all the same height. I don't have to stand on a box or in a ditch. Hey, Life of DeLeon. So I think this is great. I love S.A. Morales. I feel he's a little TV, to be honest with you. I don't really know if he's like movie level, but I have such faith in Christopher McQuarrie. I think he does such great work that I'm very excited. I think S.A. Morales is certainly very, very talented, and I think he'll do a great job. And of course, we always welcome diversity, particularly in a franchise like Mission Impossible, which really doesn't have anything whatsoever. It has Ving Rhames. They're like, Ving Rhames is here, and you're like, barely, and they're like, well, whatever. So now S.A. Morales, so that's very exciting. All right, so I'm excited for that. Whenever we get the Mission Impossible movies, they still have not resumed filming yet. You'll notice that a lot of countries are like, you can start filming again, but so far no one's taken them up on it because it's going to be so ridiculously expensive. I think the only project that might start filming is Avatar, which is nuts. I guess because they have such a closed set that maybe they're already all traveling to New Zealand, that it's okay. But interesting. You're right, Lauren Masters. They did have Paula Patton, but you know, I heard she was only in one movie, so we'll see. All right, so first story of the day. Hold on. Our last story. All right, so let me give you the marker. All right, it's 3:53, so you can ask me anything that you would like until 4:03. Reboot this again. What's with the live stream? This YouTube is so glitchy. All right. Tabitha, it's raining where you are? Super Steve says, hey Grace, do you think the new Matrix movie will be a one-time only thing or a new trilogy? I think they'll make one, and then they'll see if it does really well. If it's a huge hit, then I think they'll definitely make more. I'm so glad, by the way, that Carrie-Anne Moss was invited back. Too often they only invite back the actors and not the actresses. So the fact that Carrie-Anne Moss is also coming back, I think that's a huge credit to the Wachowskis, and shows how important it is who's behind the camera. Yes, so let's talk about it. A number of you have asked about John Krasinski. So he sold Some Good News to Viacom CBS. Now this is what I heard about it. I heard that he sold it for a ton of money. Like he made a lot of money off of this deal. And I think that's why Josh Gad is really pushing his Reunited Apart series, because he'd like to see that picked up as well. For instance, Deadline covered his Splash reunion for next week. I don't believe anybody in the trades covered his Back to the Future one. I'm not sure, but you know, I think his publicist is doing a good job saying, hey everybody, Josh Gad has a show too. It hasn't gotten the viewership of Some Good News, although even Some Good News has been wildly up and down. It really does the best when it's an Office reunion, but it's not going to be able to be an Office reunion going forward. So I heard it's going to air on CBS All Access, you know, the streaming service. So that means nobody's going to watch it. Now Lisa said he has to host it for it to work. He will not be hosting it. John Krasinski's got other stuff to do, so he will not be hosting it whatsoever. They're going to get a new host. And I was joking around with a friend of mine, and I was like, Amy Poehler should do it. And I was like, she's actually perfect for the gig. So I think if you get someone like that, I think they want it, by Max, I think they definitely want it to be another name. Yeah, Zachary Levi would be a great choice. Geeky Gator, they're going to get someone else. But it's not going to be John Krasinski. He's got other stuff to do. Evan Moore says, will Tenet be compared to Inception? I think for sure. They're so similar. Dancing Dog says the Ayer cut. I think the Ayer cut, here's the thing, from what I've heard, and you know I have particularly good sources on this, the Ayer cut is not, nobody's working on it right now. I think David Ayer's pushing it. I think Universal is open to the idea. Just remember that whoever runs the AT&T social media account does not run AT&T. That's just like someone they hired to work on their Twitter account. You know, it's like, it's their social media coordinator. I mean, obviously they don't want to get themselves into trouble, but they do want people to be excited. So I think that the Ayer cut is in play, is how I would describe it, but I don't think it's at all moving forward. I don't think it's a done deal. I don't even think they've had an official discussion about it. I bet you they haven't even had a casual discussion about it. But David Ayer is not stupid, and he's not missing an opportunity here. Hey, shook ones. And he's like getting everybody excited about it. And as I said in my video the other day about what I would like to see in the Snyder Cut, I think I would love to see the Ayer cut. And I think I would like to see this continue in an animated series. So I think it'll happen. I think if people watch the Snyder Cut, you'll get the Ayer cut. Because it's cheaper than having to do a whole new shot. Huntley, I am going to be watching Haley Mills and Pollyanna tonight. I am totally going to do that. It's the 60th anniversary, I believe, of Pollyanna. 7 p.m. on the D23 YouTube channel. They're going to do an interview with Haley Mills, Leonard Maltin, and I believe Leonard Maltin's daughter, Jessie, I think her name is. I'm totally going to watch that, and then I'm definitely going to watch Pollyanna. I have some cake saved, some 7-layer cake. I saved it just for this movie because she goes to a fair at the end of the film, and she eats these amazing pieces of cake. And, like, you can't watch Pollyanna without some cake. And I'm pretty excited. It's on Disney+, so I can watch it for free. Geeky Gator says, why is Warner Brothers so loyal to Nolan? He got like a $250 million budget and 20% of the first cut. Do you mean like 20%? I don't think he's getting. There's no way he's getting 20%. Maybe. I mean, maybe if you actually saw that somewhere. But that's a huge back end deal. Warner Brothers is very loyal to a number of people. People make their home at studios, and Christopher Nolan's very successful. So, I mean, it totally makes sense that they would make a deal with him. And he makes so much money that he would totally get a very sweet deal because he's name talent. I heard Rain on Me. I gotta tell you, I did not care for it. It might grow on me. It's a little ballady. I like stuff that's a little bit more exciting. So, Joseph says Nolan is getting 20% of Tenet's gross for the first 2 weeks. That's nuts. Although I gotta tell you, side note, I was surprised how weak the trailer performed yesterday. I don't know if because they released it at night. I don't know if because they released it on Fortnite. I don't know if John David Washington and Robert Pattinson aren't big enough stars. I don't know if people are just like, why watch this trailer? I'm not going to the movies. But I was surprised. Now, sometimes trailers don't do very well, but the movie still does very well. Captain Marvel, for instance. Nobody was watching those trailers. But the movie made $1 billion. So maybe it'll still do well. But, you know, I was surprised. Thomas says, did you like the Harley Quinn episode that came out for us today? Yes, I love every episode of Harley Quinn. I think it's an amazing, amazing show. Chad, the Space Force review embargo, I'm watching it right now. It's funny, I'll tell you one little thing about it. It's very good, but it's the first Netflix show I've ever watched that isn't bingeable. Like you have no desire to just sit there and watch it. It's very pleasant. And every time, I've watched 2 episodes so far, 10, so I got to do a lot of watching this weekend. And it's hilarious. It makes me laugh really hard every time, both episodes so far. The embargo lifts 3 a.m. on Monday. Let me see. 3 a.m., so technically Tuesday. So Monday night, but 3 in the morning. I'll be sleeping. I obviously will set it to watch. Rodrigo, Mrs. America was amazing. Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought it up. I just watched it yesterday. Sarah Paulson should win all the awards in the world for her episode yesterday. And I so related to it. Who hasn't gone to like a party or an event and found yourself stranded and separated from your friends? And what does it feel like to be like scared and like by yourself? Be like, why did everybody abandon me? And they just captured that so perfectly. And the stuff that she went through and the epiphany she had was just amazing. I mean, you could see why she took the role for that episode alone. It was so good. If you haven't watched Mrs. America, or you took a break, as I saw somebody say, go back and watch this week's episode. It's the one called Houston. By the way, I can't believe there was a gathering of women in 1977, which was the biggest gathering of women of all time. And it's never happened again, by the way, which I think is horrible. But I can't believe that happened. And I never heard about it. I went to school. I studied history. Nobody told me. I think that's appalling. And why hasn't it happened again? I was like, I would go to that. Platinum Diva's enjoying Mrs. America. You don't have to have Hulu to watch it. You can buy the episodes as a package or separately on iTunes. That's how I'm buying it because I don't want to pay for Hulu. I'm like, I'm not paying for Hulu. Forget it. Tillman says, do you think Hollywood deserves to try Terminator one more time? That's funny. I would never give up on Terminator. I think they need a break. I think they definitely need a Terminator break. But I think they should definitely go back to it. It's too good a property to abandon. But there goes the idea that James Cameron will save it. We'll go till 4:05. I'm having such a good time talking to you guys. Well, Lloyd, I don't know if you're talking about Terminator as a series, but they had one technically on Fox. It was excellent, and it got canceled. Who asked me that question? Where was that? That was funny. Let me go back and find that. Where is it? Well, I want to give credit to who asked me. Oh, Madeline. How do you like being a Pattinson stan now? I like that you said, Madeline, I saw your comment. You were like, I've always been a Pattinson stan. Welcome to the group. I'm enjoying it. So far, so good. You know, it's early days. It's been less than 24 hours. But I'm really impressed. You know, a lot of people, Nolan fans and Pattinson fans, are so snarky and snobby. They're like, I've been a Pattinson fan forever. How did you not know? I didn't know. I watched The Rover. I thought it was horrible. I hated The Rover. You know, I saw Good Time. I thought it was good. I thought Robert Pattinson was good. But I didn't think he was revolutionary. I'll tell you, I thought Robert Pattinson was a goofball. I thought he was a little bit of an idiot. So to see him actually make strong acting choices and execute them, I'm like shocked. It's like you think someone doesn't know what they're doing, and then they're like, surprise, I'm actually incredibly capable. And you're like, what the what? That was like what happened to me with Robert Pattinson. Oh yeah, and the typical Grace fell in love with Robert Pattinson. I critiqued his work, thank you very much. Jeff says, do you think Disney would face backlash if they aired their new short out in theaters? Oh, that's an interesting question because it wouldn't be like your choice to click on it. You know, you would see it. That's an interesting question. They might, but I think we have to move past this at some point. I think that's a really sweet short. I think it's obviously all ages. I think it's has a great message. I think it's all about love. I think, you know, and also, you know, some people are like, oh, well, you know, all, you know, children and stuff like that. But I think that, you know, a really good argument that has been made is there are same-sex parents, you know, and kids want to see that. Kids of couples who are same-sex in same-sex relationships want to see that reflected in what things that they watch, and they, you know, because it makes them feel part of the group. You know, if you don't show it, I think that's weird. So, you know, I think we have to be very aware of the world that we're living in, and I think, you know, if that short has no agenda, I think it's wonderful and lovely, and I think it's great, and I think it should be played. I would agree with that, Squishy. You know, like, I don't want to see anybody make out in the street. I'll tell you that right now. Get a room. Hey, Justin! Hey! Welcome back. Jake, I have seen Giant. It's one of my favorite movies ever. It's like a 3-hour epic with Rock Hudson, Elizabeth Taylor, and you left out James Dean. Really, really good stuff. Dancing Dog 60 is The Mandalorian Season 2 already shot. It is already shot. It is. They're just editing it now. I want to watch the Mandalorian documentary thing that came out today about the technology. It is time to go. I love talking to you guys so much, but I do have other work to do. My WandaVision video will have to come out next week. It's very intense in the research, and all this DC and Warner Brothers news this week threw me off schedule. But I want to make sure it's good when you get it. But I'm going to work on it today, so hopefully you'll get it early next week, and I apologize about that. All right, everybody, have a lovely rest of your afternoon, and even though it's Memorial Day weekend, craziness, movie math and stuff, and the stream will go up on Sunday as normal. It'll be a normal work day for me. I hope you have, if you have fun Memorial Day plans, enjoy. All right, everybody, see you soon.